The pre-recorded version of the lesson I'm going to be teaching today. We're going to look at quartiles and looking at the lower quartile, the upper quartile and the median. Don't worry about what those are, you'll learn about them. And we might even get to a chance of looking at how to draw box plots. So you should remember median, it's the middle value. And I've done the first answer for you here for the set of data. You put them in place value order, remember, and then find the middle value. Can you do it for the second set of data? Of course, in all these times you can pause and then have a go yourself and then go back to playing and see if you're right. With this one, you should notice that actually it's somewhere between 8 and 9, 8.5. So I said this is what we're going to do today. We're going to look at what is a quartile, look at the lower and the upper, calculate the interquartile range, and also get to do box plots hopefully. So, quartiles split the data into 4 parts, into quarters. And we call the lower quartile the first quarter of data. So it's the first quarter of the way along the data. The upper quartile is the 3/4 of the way along the data. And the median, also known as the second quartile, is halfway along the data. So let's look at some questions. 15 male students do a maths test. Here are the results. And we want to find out what the lower quartile, upper quartile and median are. So the lower quartile, a bit like the median, you add 1 and divide by 2. You do the same for all these quartiles. There are 15 students, so add 1 is 16. And for the lower quartile, you divide that by 4. So you're looking for the 4th value along, which is 4. And then for the median, you've got your 16 because it's n plus 1. So it's 16 divided by 2, the 8th value along 7. And then the upper quartile is essentially 3 times the lower quartile. So the lower quartile was 4, 3 times 4 is 12. You look for the 12th value there. And what you should spot is actually the upper quartile is 4 from the top, as this lower quartile is 4 from the bottom up. And you can see the symmetry there. Let's look at another bit of data. Here we have the ages of 15 members of golf club. And we've got to do the same idea. So again, pause if you want. So the lower quartile, again, 15 plus 1 is 16. So it's 16 over 4, 4th value. For the median, the 8th value. And for the upper quartile, the 12th value. Very similar to what we've previously done. Now, quartiles are really good when you're comparing 2 sets of data. So we looked at the ages there of 15 people in one golf club. What about another golf club? And we can compare the ages now. So here are the other ages of this golf club. And so here we look for the lower quartile, the 27th value. The 4.5th value, which is 27. A median, we're looking for the 9th value. And the upper quartile, we're looking for the 54th value. So we're looking for the 13.5th value. Too tired today, which is 54. So now we've got the lower, median and upper. The final thing we want to do when we want to compare to is look at what we call the interquartile range. And that is simply taking the value of the upper quartile and minusing it from the lower quartile. So find the upper and take away from the lower. And it tells us the middle spread, the middle 50% spread. So where it's smaller, then it's more consistent. Okay, and if it's not smaller, it's less consistent. So this is the data we got for golf club A. Let's put in the interquartile range. And so we can see here that actually there's more consistent age for golf club B. The lower quartile is 27. So it looks like these have slightly younger people here and older people. They have a greater spread of age in A than they do in B. And the median age, the middle age for club A is 33, quite young, whereas here it's 47. And they have a quarter of their age is between 47 and 54. That's a quarter. And a quarter of their age group has a 20-year gap there. So we can see what the ranges are and all that happens there. A quarter of their population are greater than 54. A quarter here are greater than 57. A quarter of this population are less than 24. And a quarter of this club are less than 27. So you can extract quite a lot from it. But essentially, what you can say here is that in Club B, they're more similar because they have a smaller interquartile range. Now we can represent this using what we call box plots. Okay, and they're very good when you want to compare things like boys against girls or the ages of one golf club against another. And they're really useful for that. But you need 5 pieces of data. You need the minimum value, the lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile, and a maximum value. And with this, you can plot something like this. It's called a box plot, sometimes a box and whisker, because these are whiskers. Okay, and this is how you plot it. The lowest value, lower quartile, median, upper quartile, and maximum value. And in the middle there of this box is what we call our interquartile range. So we've got the 15 male students doing the test. We've got their data like this, remember, 4, 7, and 9. So we can now put this onto a graph. We put a scale along the bottom. The lower quartile, the minimum value was 3. Lower quartile was 4. Median was 7. The upper quartile was 9. And the highest value was 10. Now put a box between the lower and the upper quartile. And that's our box plot. And that's all you need to do in order to draw a box plot. You must make sure your scale is correctly done, but that's all you need to do. Now the interquartile range is your upper quartile minus your lower quartile. And remember, that's the middle 50% spread. So in this case, you'd say it was 9 take away 4. So here the interquartile range would be 5. What about here if we did female students? So we've got a box plot for 23 female students. How do they compare to the boys? Think about this. Now you should see here that the interquartile range here is smaller. They have a higher median and the overall range is smaller as well. So I would say on average the girls have done a lot better than the boys. Their median is a score of 8. So the middle child got 8, whereas the middle child here got 7. The interquartile range here goes from 9 till 6, so it's just 3. Whereas here it's a big spread from 9 down to 4. So it's a big spread. A quarter of the girls got less than 6 marks. Okay. Whereas here, half the boys got less than 7. So 3/4 of the girls got more than 6. Over half the girls got over 8. So overall, girls were more consistent and did better. I hope this has helped. There are more questions that we can go through on here. So for instance, on this one, you can draw the box plot and then compare the two. So you can pause and do that. And then you can see the answers as well later on. And there's another task here. You can pause this, have a go, take a copy of it all and send me your answers. And then lastly, task 2, you can then use this data to draw a box plot and then write a couple of sentences to compare the number of spelling mistakes made between the boys and the girls. Don't forget, this is what your box plot will look like.